Good morning. To you, the members of the class of 1980, Charles, John, Masio, Paul, Thomas, Benjamin, Jonathan, Cass, Frederick, Michael, Herman, Margaret, Louis, Jared, Blake, Timothy, John, Howard, Richard, William, Neil, Terrence, John, William, Melissa, Wiley, Carmen, Amy, Stanton, Thomas, and Sandra. Charter class, School of Medicine, Uniformed Services, University of the Health Sciences, welcome. I might make as an aside, if you counted the names, there's one short. It turns out that two of you have the first names that are the same end to end, so that rather than repeating it, I only called 31. It's a privilege to welcome you to the doorstep of the next 4 years. 4 years to which you will apply most of the adjectives which are known to human experience. These would include exciting, demanding, stimulating, depressing, crappy, fantastic. All of these, I'm certain you'll apply during the upcoming 4 years. To each of you, I wish to emphasize that we're in this experience together. Without you, we the faculty wouldn't be here. Without the faculty, you wouldn't be here. There are several other points I'd like to make. In contrast to the other 15,000 medical students that started this fall, you're going to be expected to acquire as much and more than your counterparts. Not only do we anticipate, and does everyone anticipate, that you will acquire a thorough knowledge in medicine as applies to the problems encountered in the United States, but be familiar with medical problems as they occur throughout the world. In addition, each of you is going to be expected to demonstrate leadership qualities. Medicine is a team endeavor. Your responsibilities will be to quarterback that team. You come from diverse backgrounds. As you look around, I think this will be apparent to each of you. This is healthy. I can assure you that we're going to strive to allow each of you to develop to your own maximum potential. We do not anticipate that you will all come out of the same mold. Recognize early. Recognize in these early weeks, as I hope you recognize already, that there's more than one solution to any problem. Question the party answer. This is the only way in which you're going to maintain the intellectual viability that is necessary in the practice of medicine. I would like to take just this moment to illustrate using illustrative material how this fits together into the seal of the university, which you see in front of you. This, as you look at the seal, I think is apparent to each of you. The United States, the 4 stars representing the 4 services which you as a class represent. We anticipate of you a knowledge of the world. I've emphasized not merely a knowledge of the United States, not parochialism, but a knowledge of the world. In that knowledge, we anticipate 2 parts. You'll notice the flame of knowledge and the caduceus. Not only knowledge in general, but knowledge of medicine. These put together represent the organization of which you're now part, the Uniformed Services University of the Health Sciences. We feel that you will contribute to this a great heritage. It's going to be up to you to do this. While you're here, recognize that you will be in 4 uniforms. However, you're members of the Uniformed Services University while you're here, and the Uniformed Services University, or USUHS, is an agency of the Department of Defense. So that while here, you're members of a single team. At some time in the future, many, if not all of you, will find yourselves required to make critical decisions. You may be on a hospital ward at 0200. You may be on icy seas. You may be at 50 degrees below zero at 10,000 feet altitude in the Antarctic. You may be in the mud. I'd like to leave you a credo for years ahead. It's one which I've utilized in the past in teaching in various aspects, and it's a quote from Field Marshal Foch of over 50 years ago, and he addressed it, and I quote, "To those who have thus far remained unconcerned about planning and preparedness." And it goes as follows. No study is possible on the battlefield. One does there simply what one can in order to apply what one knows. Therefore, in order to do even a little, one already has to know a great deal and know it well. I hope for you, for me, for all of us, in these next 4 years, that you know a great deal and know it well. This is going to be the basis upon which your future performance is based. Recognize that you and your faculty are supported by innumerable persons, both military and civilian. Before I conclude, I have the pleasure of introducing an individual to whom we're indebted for his inestimable assistance. To him, both for you and for the faculty, I would like to publicly give our thanks. The individual is Major General Robert Bernstein, Commander, Walter Reed Army Medical Center, an outstanding physician, an outstanding soldier, and to me, even more important, a longtime friend and supporter. General Bernstein.
I need that?
It will
I
help,
guess
yes.
I do. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I guess I've heard of 32 gun salutes, but I've never heard of 31 name salutes. But a very auspicious way to start this memorable year. Dean Sanford, faculty, and particularly new students of a new university. My purpose here is just to welcome all of you and to congratulate you on your selection. Something that I'm told you should all feel very proud of, considering the numbers of people who applied. This is a very momentous event in history, in military history, and in the history of the nation, really. I'd like to just say a word about the Walter Reed Army Medical Center which dates back to 1909. That's when the hospital was first put out here. There is a long, enviable, very proud tradition here, and I hope that for the time that you're here that you will feel a part of it. And I know one of the leading military historians, certainly military medical historian in this country, is Colonel Robert Joy, who is a member of the faculty and from whom you hear at great length later. But we're very proud of the history of Walter Reed, and more particularly we're proud of what we're doing today. We have three main missions in life here. One is health care delivery, obviously, to military, active duty, retired, to families, and to many, many dignitaries. And that is basically the group that we care for. So there's health care delivery. We do a great deal of training, education on our own. We are affiliated with the 3 universities in town, and now, of course, with you all. And we do a whole lot of research, clinical research at the center, or the hospital part. And then, and you'll get a great deal on this, of course, the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research, which is basically basic research, and which itself has a very long and proud history, having started as the Army Medical School. A word about organization, and I promise you not to put any organizational charts on the board. That's what you do in Washington. The first time anybody comes anyplace, you put an organizational chart on the board, and I won't do that to you. I just think you should know that in terms of the Walter Reed Army Medical Center, and that there is only one headquarters, which includes the hospital, and it includes all of the post functions. We have 3 separate pieces of campus, if you will. One is this, the main one. Another one is about 4 miles from here, which is called Forest Glen, which houses the commissary and the PX and our psychiatric service today, and some other activities, mostly support activities. And then we have a third small piece of real estate called Glen Haven, which houses some of our enlisted people, and on which we're building some new housing. So the Walter Reed Army Medical Center takes care of the medical treatment facility plus all of the functions that go along with that, with taking care of these posts, to include things like personnel, civilian personnel, and so on, and engineering, and that type of thing. We have a number of tenants, very famous in their own right, on this post, and that includes the Institute of Research, that includes the Institute of Pathology, that includes a Institute of Dental Research, a regional dental activity which deals with dental prosthetics on a worldwide regional basis. And then we have the Walter Reed Army Institute of Nursing, so we have a nursing school here as well. And I'm told that a number of you are married, and I don't expect you to get involved with them at all. Incidentally, there are men and women in the class in the School of Nursing. So our relationships, my headquarters relationships to this university is one of a landlord-tenant relationship. A happy landlord, very understanding of the tenants, and hopefully we support all of you. In addition to that, we do take care of the university in certain areas. Each one of the tenants has a separate agreement so that we support some of them, civilian personnel support or engineering support and the like. We have a total of on the order of 9,000 people in our community. That includes inpatients, which is a very sizable community, and not all that much territory. So there is considerable concentration, density of people. And as all of you know, what that brings is, along with people, a lot of problems. And we have problems on this post, and let me remind you of one, and that is security of valuables, and such things as locking your car, and so on, and not leaving valuable possessions around are very important. Now, I'm sure you'll get more about this later, but this is an urban area, and Washington, D.C. is no different than any other urban area, and you just have to, unhappily, that's the way we have to live today. But I urge you to be careful with your valuables. We do have military police on the post, and we do have certain rules and regulations which you'll hear about and which I'm sure you will abide by. And the military police, as all policemen, have a difficult time in general. We also, I think you should know, this post is different, and you'll find this, I think, true over at the National Naval Medical Center campus when you get over there. And that is that we are about 50% civilian throughout the campus. This is not like a military post where there's a division or a lot of line troops around. This, we are heavily civilianized. And I should also tell you that in addition to that, we are about, our civilian force is about 54% minority. And the reason I tell you that is that a few years ago, and I won't go into any detail, but a few years ago we here had, as with the rest of the world, some racial unrest. And all of us have been working hard to see that we became sensitive and became that we put in programs that would eliminate or at least minimize that. Situation. And I think we've come a long way, and it relates to being sensitive, and it relates to looking after, on the part of the command, looking after its own people, and that's what we are doing today. And I mention it to you because we have the responsibility generally for when there are equal employment opportunity problems. I don't anticipate that you will have any problem, but I think you should be aware of it. And let's just say that the policy at the Walter Reed Army Medical Center is that we value people for their ability and their performance and their capabilities and their potential and their interest and somewhat their loyalty. And we don't care whether they're tall or short or black or white or Chinese or Jewish or any of those less important qualities. And you should, all of the militaries, all of the departments are very avidly pursuing equal opportunity, equal employment opportunity, and I think that's all I intend to say about it, but you should all be aware and be yourselves sensitive to that issue. We, the center, except for supporting you, will not be directly involved with your training side until you get to the clinical years, basically. That is not to say that you're not welcome in the hospital area. That's not true, and I'm sure you will be in and out of there, but generally that is the case. And just for you, we're building a new hospital. And we've just managed to fill up a very large hole in the campus here with a 7-story structure that's going to be a beauty. 1,280 beds, and I know that you have a formal briefing coming up very shortly, but we're very proud of it, and I know you will be proud to be a part of it. Now just a word on lighter side of things. Though Walter Reed, I repeat, is only here to support you in this very important phase of your life, we have a great number of things to offer you, and I hope that you and those of you that are married, your families will take advantage of them. We have a welfare and recreation department that deals with all sorts of things like trips and tickets to things. And how many of you know Washington, D.C.? Well, if you don't, it really is a great city with lots to see and lots to do. I don't think you'll have much time, but anyway, it's there. But anyway, welfare and rec can do that kind of thing. It also has a small area out at Forest Glen that has such things as skis and trailers and boats and that kind of thing that you can rent. Just so that you know it's there and know that other people are enjoying it. We have a theater. We have a swimming pool. Unfortunately, we lost our gym in the construction, but we have other ways of getting exercise. We have a commissary, PX. We have a chapel right across the way with many activities out of it. And we have an officers club. And I don't know about your medical students. I remember my day toward the turn of the century. And a bar on Friday afternoon always seemed like it was part of the curriculum. Anyway, what we have is an old, one of the most active times is Friday afternoon at 4:30, and there is an event there called Happy Hour, except we don't call it Happy Hour, but Happy Hour is a tradition in the military in which all of the woes of the week goes by the board as you sip a drink or two and in fellowship, and that's really, that latter is the most important part of that, not the drinking. And being as sophisticated as we are, we don't call it happy hour, we call it attitude adjustment hour. But it's very well attended. Now I wonder if any of you have any questions about Walter Reed or about what's here for you, you will get detailed briefings, right, Dr. Blank, on what is available and so on. But anything come to your mind that you want to ask about? Well, my final comment is that, first of all, I understand this is the start of a 2-week orientation. And also, from what I hear, this outdoes any congressional boondoggle I've ever heard of in my life. They certainly, the school, Dr. Blank and the dean are certainly to be congratulated for this, for putting together the orientation that I know is coming up for you. It sounds great. And finally, let me wish you good luck in the years to come, and I know I'll see you all from time to time. Thank you very much.
John Bernstein, thank you very, very much. It's now my privilege to introduce another individual to whom we owe a great debt of gratitude as well. The individual is Captain Elgin Cowart, Director of the Armed Forces Institute of Pathology, the building in which we're now seated. Many of you may not recognize, but were it not for the forethought, foresightedness of the Board of Governors of the Armed Forces Institute of Pathology and its staff, that we could not have started class this fall. We would have had to have waited for the completion of our first permanent building, which we're due to occupy next May or early June. So that the fact that you're here this fall, the fact that you got to start this fall, is directly related to the willingness of the Armed Forces Institute of Pathology and its staff to share with us their space, to close down some of their activities so that there's space for this class to begin. At this point, I'd like to introduce to you Captain Elgin Cowart, Director, Armed Forces Institute of Pathology. Elgin.
First, my apologies for coming in late this morning. I have a feeling that I may have slowed down the proceedings a bit, and hopefully it didn't embarrass Dean Sanford. It's a pleasure for me to welcome you to the Institute, as to follow the line of host-tenant arrangement as a subtenant, I guess, residing in our spaces. I'm particularly pleased that you're coming in at a time to coincide with the tenure of the Navy as the leadership in the Institute. I understand that part of your briefing will include a tour of the Institute a week from today, along with which there will be a rather detailed briefing on the Institute itself. So as not to be repetitious and duplicate anything of any significance that might come from that briefing, I'm going to restrict my remarks markedly this morning. The Institute, for the benefit of those who are not already aware of it, services all three of the military services as a consultant in pathology. In addition to our consultant mission, we also conduct educational and research activities in the building. In addition to the three military services, we also have programs with the Veterans Administration and the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare. Additionally, we provide consultant service to any pathologist anywhere in the world. That is literally the case. We accept materials, case materials, from any pathologist. This is the only criteria, that it come from a pathologist. The contributors can expect a report in as little or as great detail as they desire. The staff is geared to this. If a contributor requests a specific comment concerning a diagnostic problem, then the staff will research it and provide him what he needs. Many of them are simply a no-comment type of report, which either concurs or non-concurs with the contributor's diagnosis. The research program hinges primarily on the case materials that have been contributed during the more than 100 years that the Institute has been in existence. There are well over 1.5 million cases in the repository, which provide a massive base on which to base research activities. The educational program also makes use of the same materials and is signified by a series of short courses primarily. Most of these are about a 1-week duration. There are some 30-odd courses now presented annually. These are attended by anywhere from 15 to 400 attendees. Those that exceed in number the space available in this and one other auditorium in the building are conducted in one of the local hotels in the Silver Spring area, one that has larger meeting type facilities. I doubt that your program, your curriculum, is going to permit time to attend any of these courses. They are mostly geared for graduates, for pathologists, although a goodly number of other specialists do attend them, particularly the gynecologic path, the neuropath, the pulmonary, and certain other specialties in preparation for specialty board examinations. Later in your careers, you no doubt will have the opportunity to participate. The spaces that you will be occupying are what is the Medical Museum, which is a major component of the Institute. This wing, which obviously is different from the basic concrete structure of the original building, was added particularly to house the Medical Museum and certain other laboratory and office facilities which were located downtown for many, many years next door to the Smithsonian. These spaces have been temporarily renovated and modified to accommodate the school so that you may commence your studies in time for the school to meet its deadline of producing a certain number of students by 82, is it, Jenny? Yes. We're very pleased to be able to cooperate with the school, with the university in assisting you along your way. I predict that we will see you over in the main part of the Institute from time to time between studies or making use of library facilities. If there's anything we can do to make your stay more livable and a better educational experience, the faculty certainly knows us, and you are welcome to those facilities which we have which could contribute to that end. Again, welcome. It'll be a pleasure to have you around for these next couple of years before you move into your own quarters over at Bethesda.
Cowart, thank you very much. This really concludes the informal welcoming. As you'll hear later, actually next week you will be formally welcomed by members of the Board of Regents, by the 3 Surgeons General and others. However, I know, speaking for myself, it's a real privilege, and I say that meaningfully. We've spent a lot of time. It's an exciting opportunity to have this opportunity really to welcome you, if I will, unofficially. First of all, I know The same holds for General Bernstein and for Captain Cowart. So that at this point, we will proceed with a break run before we'll now commence to tell you what we will tell you, and then we'll see you shortly thereafter with a break. And at this point, we'll stop for a few moments, take a stretch break.
No organizational charts.
Yet.